On a first-class flight, a man hurls insults at Elon Musk, only to be struck by regret as the reality of his actions unfolds before him. The atmosphere buzzed with a palpable urgency as travelers moved through the gates at Los Angeles International Airport. As the clock ticked down to the departure of Flight 311 to Tokyo Narita, the first-class passengers started to gather, anticipation hanging in the air. Oliver Bennett was one of those characters, a man who wore his vanity with the finesse of a perfectly tailored suit. Oliver had always been the one in the spotlight. His software venture, adorned with a dazzling exterior, had recently reached the remarkable milestone of its first billion-dollar valuation. His social media feed unfolded like a tapestry of self-congratulatory posts, each thread woven with pride. His latest caption, accompanying a photo of him with a goblet of champagne, declared, "Disruption is my middle name." "Ah, Mr. Bennett, it seems you've arrived just in time." He received a warm welcome from the flight attendant, though her strained smile hinted at her awareness of his unique traits. With a brief nod, Oliver stepped into the luxurious first-class cabin, where each seat resembled a cozy pod, complete with its own screen and the ability to recline for ultimate comfort. For the next 12 hours, he shall find himself in the cozy embrace of Seat 2A. With a dramatic sweep, he cast aside his blazer, letting it cascade over the chair like a cloak, before reaching for a pair of noise-canceling headphones. Upon closer inspection, the seat next to him remained unoccupied. Very well. A moment of tranquility may very well find its way to me. A silhouette appeared shortly thereafter, gliding into 2B. Oliver's sharp, tailored ensemble stood in bold contrast to the man's attire, which featured a simple hoodie and well-worn sneakers. He glided through the crowd with a subtle grace, a master of the art of blending in, his features shrouded beneath the brim of a baseball cap. Oliver barely lifted his gaze, fingers dancing across the keyboard of his laptop as the man settled into the chair. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the man casually presented his proposition, weaving it into the fabric of the twilight. "Indeed," Oliver whispered, his gaze elsewhere. He found himself lost in the art of crafting yet another tweet for his 500,000 followers. As the cabin door clicked shut, a spark of intrigue ignited within Oliver, and the engines roared to life. One aspect of the man struck a chord deep within him, resonating with a sense of familiarity that eluded his grasp. "Perhaps just another tech professional chasing the dream," he mused with a hint of disdain, reclining in his seat. As the flight attendant glided down the aisle, she extended a delicate flute of champagne, a sparkling invitation to indulge in the moment. The individual politely refused, opting instead for a refreshing bottle of water. Oliver wore a quiet smile, a glimmer of joy dancing in his eyes. "Water? Truly?" He leaned in and murmured, "It would be better to be in coach," his voice carrying just enough for the passenger to hear. Yet, the person remained silent, their lips curling into a subtle smile. As the aircraft soared to cruising altitude, Oliver's natural urge to command the space around him ignited. With a swift gulp, he downed his champagne, the glass meeting the tray with a delightful clink, before shifting his focus to the occupant of 2B. "So, what will you choose to do next?" Oliver asked, his expression revealing a curious detachment. The man's face remained shrouded in mystery beneath the cap as he shifted ever so slightly. "In the realm of technology, I find my purpose," he responded with clarity. Oliver beamed with delight. "Ah, it seems we find ourselves in a familiar tale. It seems we have a few tales of conflict to recount." He settled into his seat, legs crossed, ready to steer the dialogue toward the topic that intrigued him most, his very essence. Yet, the person chose not to take the bait. With a subtle nod, he turned his attention back to his phone, lost in the endless scroll of content. Oliver found himself unaccustomed to the feeling of being overlooked. His question morphed into a sense of annoyance. He started, his voice rising just enough to draw in the ears of those nearby. In the realm of technology, many individuals receive an unwarranted level of acclaim for their half-formed ideas. Take, for example, Elon Musk. In the midst of all the admiration for his brilliance, they overlook the wild abandon that often accompanies his brilliance. The occupant of 2B lingered, his finger poised above the phone screen, yet his gaze remained fixed elsewhere. Oliver pressed on, uplifted by the silence that surrounded him. SpaceX is a private aerospace manufacturer and space transportation company founded by Elon Musk in 2002. It aims to reduce space transportation costs and enable the colonization of Mars. Indeed, it is quite remarkable if one has a penchant for launching vast sums of money at missiles poised to detonate. Tesla. Exaggerated in its acclaim. But I shall refrain from delving into the realm of Twitter. What of the grand takeover? A tale of disaster. A soft chuckle escaped from the person in 2B. A subtle spark, almost undetectable, yet it kindled a fire deep within Oliver. He leaned in, ready to weave his narrative with fervor. Do you think I have erred in my understanding? Oliver presented a daring challenge. The man replied with a serene, lightly amused inflection. No, I hold the conviction that you are. Passionate. Excited, I call it authentic. Musk captures the admiration of many individuals. Nothing else to share. A handful of passengers, intrigued, leaned in subtly, their eyes flickering over with curiosity. Oliver thrived under the bright lights, believing it to be a sign of admiration. Yet, the person in 2B seemed to carry an air of indifference. Absolutely. Each individual possesses the inherent freedom to share their thoughts and perspective. Oliver waved off the remark with a dramatic roll of his eyes. Indeed, yet truths are the essence of existence. Musk embodies a living spectacle of public relations absurdity. Those of us who truly innovate are the architects of the future, not mere purveyors of empty chatter. The man picked up his phone once more, a polite smile gracing his lips. With a gentle smile, Oliver settled back comfortably. He noticed yet another novice dreamer. He remained oblivious to the fact that his seatmate's calm exterior was not born from a lack of awareness. It was a remarkable display of restraint. The cabin buzzed with the gentle hum of the engines as the first-class passengers nestled into their own little worlds, engrossed in books, lost in films, or savoring their cocktails. Yet, Oliver found himself in a state of unease. The figure in 2B held their tongue, responding only with fleeting smirks or terse replies to his ever more pointed comments, which only deepened his irritation. Oliver revealed his struggle to quell the tantalizing urge to ponder possibilities. As part of the vibrant entrepreneurial community, you are immersed in a world of innovation and creativity. Are we delving into the realms of artificial intelligence or cryptography? Perhaps. In this moment, it seems that all are welcoming those trends with open arms. The man's expression was a mystery as he cast a fleeting glance upward. Not exactly. Oliver's frustration deepened as the uncertainty lingered. He reveled in the spotlight, and 2B's indifference felt like a slight to his pride. How do you view Musk in the current landscape? Oliver asked, his tone sharpening with intensity. In essence, having a viewpoint is essential for those working in the technology field. With a moment's pause, the man finally shrugged, as if weighing the unspoken thoughts swirling in his mind. He has embarked on a series of captivating adventures. What fascinating details can you share? With a hearty chuckle, Oliver mirrored the action once more. That is a remarkable understatement indeed. He is a living paradox, speaking passionately about the importance of safeguarding our planet while flying in private jets. While the allure of Mars captures our imagination, the pressing challenges we face on Earth remain largely overlooked. For the first time, the man's expression shifted. Perhaps a flicker of amusement dances at the edges, or a gentle wave of moderate irritation stirs beneath the surface. Yet it vanished just as swiftly as it had appeared. Perhaps he is merely following the path laid out by his own discernment. The individual replied with clarity, keeping a balanced tone throughout the exchange. What he considers to be the best choice. Oliver curled his lip in disdain. It seemed as if they had never faced the tangible consequences of their actions. It remains a concept until the moment you find yourself accountable for settling the tab. Just as the atmosphere thickened with anticipation, Oliver chose the medium-rare steak, while the gentleman in 2B opted for a simple vegetarian dish. Oliver watched the man dine with a serene demeanor as the dishes were placed before him, as though he possessed an endless stretch of time. Oliver, with a hint of nonchalance, whispered softly, "It must be pleasant." The man cast a glance in his direction but offered no reply, choosing instead to focus on his meal. As the hours unfolded, Oliver found himself increasingly captivated by his seatmate. The man exuded a serene assurance, a subtle aura that left Oliver pondering its depths, unable to fully grasp its essence. Oliver's loud critiques and his clear efforts to bait him into a debate seemed to have no effect on him. And then, the whispers began to weave through the air. The flight attendants who glided past seemed to hold 2B in a light of both admiration and curiosity. Oliver took note of this and furrowed his brow. One person approached him with a soft tone, saying, "Kindly let me know if you need any help, sir." "Who is this person?" He feigned adjusting his seat as he leaned in closer. The baseball cap cast a shadow over the man's face, yet Oliver couldn't shake off the impression left by the strong jawline and the peculiar way he carried himself. As the cabin light softly faded, Oliver chose to let go of his grip, allowing the passengers around him to settle in for the long voyage ahead. He viewed him as a peculiar, affluent character. Nothing further to add. As Oliver settled into his seat, he couldn't shake the feeling that his seatmate's quiet glance held secrets that danced just out of reach of his understanding. With a sigh, he adjusted his headphones and leaned back, ready to drift into his own world. In the stillness of the cabin, time drifted by, marked only by the soft clinking of glassware and the gentle rustle of blankets, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Oliver, having indulged in a few cocktails during his flight, found himself enveloped in a wave of freedom and self-assurance. He reclined, his gaze sweeping across the cabin in search of fresh diversions. Once again, his gaze was drawn to the person in 2B. Oliver shattered the stillness that enveloped them with a simple declaration, "All right, I surrender." It was now his duty to share the truth. What is the essence of your pact? You find yourself enveloped in a serene and mysterious atmosphere. It seems you might be a venture capitalist or perhaps an eccentric trust fund child. The man's eyes were glued to the page of the book he had just opened, and a soft chuckle escaped his lips. He replied close, yet he offered no additional information. With a hint of daring in his tone, Oliver beckoned, "Come on." At last, the man lifted his eyes, locking onto Oliver's gaze for the very first time. "You can't just linger here like a riddle, keeping everything to yourself." His tone shifted to one of unexpected intimacy, and his gaze was keen and penetrating. Yet, a flight attendant stepped in with a sense of decorum, interrupting Oliver just as he was beginning to connect the dots. "Mr. Musk, I beg your pardon," she said, her voice carrying a blend of respect and professionalism. "The captain has asked me to convey that your connection in Tokyo is secured, and they will be ready to welcome you upon your arrival." Oliver's body went still. Initially, the words danced just out of reach of his understanding, as though his mind needed a fleeting moment to grasp their meaning. Who is this enigmatic figure known as Musk? The flight attendant received a respectful bow from the person seated in 2B. He conveyed his appreciation with warmth, yet in a subtle way. The pieces found their places, a jarring sense of conclusion hanging in the air. The humble appearance, the quiet assurance, and the cozy hoodie. He found himself positioned beside someone extraordinary. The individual at the center of the tale was none other than Elon Musk. Oliver's mouth grew dry. His heart pounded in his chest as he revisited the events of the past few hours in his thoughts. Every insult, critique, and derisive jab was aimed at the individual he perceived as an untouchable public figure, someone far removed from his own existence. For the first time during the voyage, Oliver found himself at a loss for words. With a subtle shift of his headwear, Elon Musk resumed his reading, embodying an air of nonchalance, as if the world around him had faded away. Yet Oliver's distress was palpable. His once unyielding bravado now shattered, succumbing to the heavy burden of sheer humiliation. The nearby passengers, initially intent on steering clear of the unfolding scene, now shared fleeting glances, their faces a tapestry of awkwardness and quiet delight. Oliver sought to regain his poise, a subtle clearing of his throat marking the moment. "So, you are Elon Musk?" Elon carefully set his book down on the tray table, gently closing it with a thoughtful expression. He conveyed that this is the information they have shared with me, his tone playful yet laced with a hint of amusement. Oliver's face flushed a deep shade of red. "Ah, It seems my earlier words were not meant to carry any particular significance. Engaging in a dialogue. These events cannot be seen as mere personal matters. Elon's expression was a mystery as he regarded Oliver, his head slightly tilted in contemplation. With a subtle grin, he remarked, "Do not be alarmed. I am not concerned." The atmosphere in the cabin was so dense it felt as though it could be cut with a knife. Oliver, in a moment of anxiety, reached for his drink, hoping that a long sip would soothe his racing thoughts. In stark contrast, Elon exuded an air of calm indifference, his serene presence only deepening the turmoil within Oliver. Oliver began the arduous journey of trying to escape the depths of the pit he had dug for himself. It seems you have grown familiar with the opinions and judgments of those around you, haven't you? This is a fundamental part of the scenario. With a thoughtful gaze, he leaned back, lost in his musings. I take it as a given. Yet, I have always believed that feedback can be a powerful tool, as long as it is aimed at improvement. He looked at Oliver, a playful glint dancing in his eyes. Was it beneficial? Oliver's face bore the marks of a fierce fire. Ah, it seems I was not fully aware that our paths had crossed in conversation, naturally. Elon's smile glimmered with a hint more brightness, yet his demeanor held steady and composed. Is it significant who you're engaging in conversation with? The strength of the arguments remains unchanged, regardless of who is listening. Oliver found himself momentarily surprised by the reply. Though he brimmed with confidence, he found himself unable to launch a counterattack. Elon, in contrast, had yet to achieve notable success. Elon replied with a calm and measured voice, "You brought up Tesla. Have you ever pondered the countless lives transformed by our driver assistance technology? How many lives were saved from disasters due to the measures we've put in place?" Oliver suddenly felt a strange, shrinking sensation as he adjusted himself in his seat. It seems I did not view it in that light. Elon held his steadfast gaze, weaving a narrative as he delved deeper into the world of SpaceX. You called it reckless. Did you know that our rockets have slashed the cost of reaching orbit by over 90%? Could it be that we are embarking on a journey to develop technologies that might protect humanity from catastrophic events of extinction-level proportions? Oliver tried to find the words, yet they eluded him completely. The resonance of Elon's words hung in the atmosphere. Elon's voice took on a gentler quality as he spoke to Twitter. Truly, it is chaotic. Yet, there are moments when chaos becomes a vital catalyst for change. Friction serves as the catalyst for the evolution of ideas. Advancement cannot occur without it. The atmosphere in the first-class cabin was thick with anticipation, as if everyone held their breath in unison. Elon's remarks flowed with a calm demeanor, free from anger or defensiveness. They presented the facts with a serene confidence, as if the truth itself needed no further explanation. Oliver drew in a sharp breath. It was never my intention. Your presence caught me by surprise. With a blend of empathy and resolve, Elon leaned in just a bit, his expression telling a story of understanding and determination. The essence of truth endures, unwavering in the face of those who listen. It might be wise to consider that before you share your thoughts next time. The words were not spoken with harshness, yet they resonated deeply within Oliver, leaving a mark far greater than any insult could inflict. He settled back in his seat, the vastness of the first-class cabin enveloping him, leaving him with a sense of insignificance. Throughout the flight, Oliver held his tongue, a departure from his usual chatter. He replayed each word he had uttered, every haughty remark, and every cutting insult aimed at the man just inches away, stirring a tempest within his mind. He felt a strange blend of admiration, sorrow, and embarrassment wash over him. In that moment, Elon returned to his book, treating the confrontation as if it were just a fleeting exchange in the grand tapestry of life. Oliver would sometimes meet a flight attendant who approached him with a subtle grace, extending quiet gestures of respect that now resonated deeply within him. Oliver carried the weight of the humiliating experience, heavy and unyielding, like a stone lodged in his chest. This was not just a fleeting instance of overconfidence. It was the moment he understood just how little he truly grasped the people and ideas he had so carelessly left behind. Oliver paused, the cabin lights fading to a gentle glow as most passengers succumbed to the embrace of sleep. He whispered, "Hey, Mr. Musk," his voice barely breaking the serene stillness of the cabin. Elon looked up, his expression calm but watchful. Oliver's words flowed with genuine emotion as he offered his heartfelt apologies. "I was not behaving as I should have. To critique from the sidelines is a simple task, yet I find myself unable to grasp the full weight of your duties." Elon cast a fleeting glance in his direction, then offered a subtle nod. He acknowledged the apology with a clear and direct response. Though it presents its trials, such is the very nature of advancement. Opposition is bound to arise, especially from those who do not possess a well-rounded understanding. It is essential to keep moving forward. Oliver's throat tightened as he gave a slight nod. In that moment, he found himself at a loss for words, unable to weave any insightful thoughts into the tapestry of conversation. The cabin buzzed with the anticipation of passengers, each moment thick with excitement as the plane gracefully descended toward the vibrant city of Tokyo. Oliver peered through the window, watching as the city lights shimmered and grew brighter, drawing nearer as the aircraft descended toward the airstrip. He pondered the many moments he had overlooked figures like Elon Musk, who were bold visionaries ready to embrace greater risks, think beyond the ordinary, and tackle challenges that others would shy away from. He had overlooked the strength needed to face ongoing criticism while chasing a significant aspiration in his quest to seem wise. As they stepped off, Elon cast one last glance at Oliver. With a gentle smile, he offered you heartfelt wishes for success in all your pursuits. I believe it will create a meaningful change. Oliver watched as Elon slipped away into the bustling crowd, flanked by unassuming airport staff guiding him toward his next adventure. For the first time in years, Oliver felt a strange and unfamiliar sensation wash over him. Understanding and sharing the feelings of others. He found himself at a crossroads, grappling with how to weave this fresh insight into the fabric of his life. Yet, amidst the uncertainty, one truth shone brightly in his mind. He found himself forever changed, unable to return to the person he had been before stepping onto the aircraft. The lesson was clear and unmistakable. The true test lies in stepping forward, grasping the circumstances, and bringing about transformation, instead of simply observing and voicing discontent from the sidelines.